ultrasound vaginal probes, okay, as well as our fiber optic endoscopes. Okay. Here in your department, we have numerous vaginal probes. They are cleaned by your sterile processing department, and they're returned to you guys in a clean fashion. I'm going to start off with how they're returned to you clean, and then we'll pick up from there. Okay. All the probes are high-level disinfected upstairs in a glutaraldehyde unit system. The chemical that's used is a Cydex. It is immersed in the chemical for 20 minutes, and it's rinsed very well. After the high-level disinfection, the staff upstairs is required to go ahead and to dry the probe, and then place an additional white ball around it. We do that to protect the distal tip of the probe. There are fiber optics crystals placed in the distal tip, and so we really need to be careful in how we handle them. Okay? So they place a white ball covered by a condom, followed by a high-level disinfectant sticker. What's important about this high-level disinfectant sticker is this is something that you must check every time before you pull a probe for use. We're governed by the California Department of Public Health, and they request that we put the date that our instrumentation is reprocessed, who reprocessed it, and what unit and how it was reprocessed. So you're going to find on your high-level glue disinfectant sticker that it states clearly that it was high-level disinfectant. Now you know that it's Cydex, it's Cydex glutaraldehyde that we use to disinfect it. We have the reprocessor's initials, the date that it was reprocessed, and the unit, which is a Gus unit. Okay? They're going to deliver these down to you clean. And this bin, which falls into an OSHA and an AAMI regulation that states that we must transport all instrumentation, especially soiled, in an impervious puncture-proof container, and we need some type of bin liner as a barrier. Okay? Before I go any further, I want to tell you that the bin liners that we use, they're packaged in these nice little packages here. We have a clear one. I'm going to open up just so you can become familiar with it. There's a clear liner, there's a green liner, which states clean, and then there's a red one for contamination. When your probes are delivered to you clean in this impervious container, it will have the green lid liner, which is the indication that it is clean, sterilized, and ready for use. Okay? So when you're pulling your probe from your clean utility room, you want to make sure that it is in the bin, that it does have a green lid liner, that your probe has a sticker on it that states high-level disinfectant, and that it's dated. And we're also governed that we cannot use a probe or any instrumentation after 30 days of it being cleaned, high-level disinfected, and or sterilized. Okay? So you always want to refer to your date to make sure it's not outdated. You guys use them quite a bit, so I don't think you might run into this issue. Okay? Upon pulling your your probe to be used, you want to make sure that you have populated it with your cleaning supplies that you're going to need after the use. Okay? So we're asking that you populate your bins with 2 white balls and 1 red Endozyme sponge. Okay? So I'm going to start off here with, you've got your pre-populated bin, you've got your probe, you know that it's not outdated. Go ahead and transport it into your procedure room. The doctor uses it. After use, the doctor will either hand it to you or they'll set it back on the monitor, whichever way they want to operate that day. What's important for you is that you must know that you are required before your pre-cleaning, which we're going to speak about in just a moment, that you're required to wear your PPEs. The onus is on you. If unfortunately you choose not to wear them and something happens, then Kaiser will inform you that it was your responsibility to wear your PPEs. The PPEs that are required consist of a gown, some sort of a face shield, and there are various different face shields, and gloves. Okay? These are mandatory. Actually, they're not optional, but again, if you choose not to wear them, that is your choice. Okay? But I'm informing you, and you will sign a consent stating that you have been informed. So, with all of your PPEs on, and after the procedure, you will retrieve the probe, and the process goes as such. You will take your first white ball. They ask that you orient the probe away from you, okay, as to not splash back on yourself. Your probe will have at that point a condom and lubricant, which the doctor placed on, or perhaps the assistant has placed on. You will take your first white ball and you remove your probe, your condom and your lubricant. Okay. At that point, we ask that you go ahead and disconnect your transducer adapter box from the monitor. You walk it over to your bin. asking that you place your connector box under the bin's liner as to protect it from moisture. Okay, go ahead and cover that back up. Orient your probe into your bin. Okay. At that point, with your full PPEs on, we're going to ask you to go ahead and take your Invizyme sponge. Sometimes they have a lot of enzymatic detergent in here, and sometimes they're pretty dry. Okay. Sometimes you need to manipulate them just a little bit. Okay. We're asking that you start from the handle with a one-way swipe in a one-way direction all the way down to the distal end. Okay. We're going to ask that you set this on the opposite side of the bin and not directly on the probe. The enzymatic solution from the sponge, if it's left on the probe, it can start to break down the fiber which it's made with. Most importantly, which you will see first, is the housing here that houses the crystals. This will start to turn white, and once it turns white, it's going to start drying out and it's going to crack. Okay? Then we ask that you take your second white ball, that you lightly dampen it. If you have a supply of water in your room, that would be great. If you have a sink, that's wonderful. Not all exam rooms are set up the same. Okay? And then a one-way direction, you try to remove your residual enzymatic solution. Okay? We ask at that point that you remove your gloves. And that you place your red contaminated lid liner on your bin. I would recommend that you put on another pair of gloves, but if you don't, your bare hands are okay because you are touching a clean surface here. Okay? At that point, you would transport your probe to your soil utility room, and or you would transport it up to the sterile processing department located on the second floor. Okay? If you take cut